Hey everybody, John Coffer here for another edition of
Matt Reviews.
Alongside
Matt.
This time around we're going to be doing our first ever documentary on something that Matthew loves and I don't care that much about. What is it, Matt?
Beyond the Mat.
Which is about?
Wrestling.
That's right. Beyond the Mat covers wrestling, the wrestling industry as a whole, where it breaks down into 4 main storylines. Upcoming wrestlers, either indie wrestlers who are trying to make it in the business, or wrestlers who already made it to WWE or WWF at the time, who are trying to find their storyline or their gimmick. The second one is Jake the Snake. He's probably, I'd say he's the main focus of the documentary.
Yeah.
And you're following him as he was a superstar and now he's a nobody drug addict. 3, Mick Foley, and basically how he's trying to cope with doing these stunts he's doing in ring and his family at the same time. And 4 is Terry Funk and his trying to
retire, but he comes back.
Yeah, and he can't do it.
Also, that one guy draws. Oh, newcomer wrestlers.
Yeah, yes, newcomer wrestlers. So that's basically the documentary, the plot for the documentary as a whole. It came out, what would you say, man, like 98?
98, 99.
98, 99. I was big into wrestling as a kid, but I quickly got out of it. Matt's a huge wrestling fan. This is the first time he watches documentary, so what do you think?
It was really good. The way it was shot and the way they get in stuff is amazing. And Jake the Snake, Robert Spark, and the rest of the old retirees.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very gritty documentary. It's not a sleek, pretty documentary.
No.
And it really, I mean, it's not a blast of the industry. It's not like,
Oh my God.
It's not a squash documentary where they come out and they just one-sidedly beat this industry. But it definitely shows you the truth, I mean, about the industry. You see the highs and the lows and then all the in-between, you know.
I was wanting to be a pro wrestler until I watched this.
Yeah, I think it's very much like if you ever wanted to be a pro wrestler or you had any idea thinking you wanted to pro wrestle, I think it's important that you watch this documentary. Especially with the stuff like with the 2 guys who are trying to make it to WWE and they finally make it and they never get called back.
That one dude, I can't remember what his name is.
Well, I don't remember the names.
I don't remember what the names either. But, warning, this movie does have cussing and stuff in it, I think.
Why would that be a problem?
For kids.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, like, it's not, I mean, for a movie about wrestling, it's not kid-friendly, really.
No. This ain't like the old, not old, but new WWE talking about it.
I mean, really, it shows the darker side, but it also shows, you know, like
the good
guys
side.
like, you know, Rock and Stone Cold at the top of their game, Mick Foley.
And of course it's going to reveal that wrestling is fake.
Yeah,
of course.
Knows that.
Yeah, everyone knows that, but of course it reveals that because, as you can see backstage, Mick Foley's talking to The Rock. Because after the match where he gets hit in the head with a chair a bunch of times, he's actually talking to The Rock and a bunch of other stuff in it, right? It kind of reveals the...
What was your favorite segment?
Probably the Mick Foley segment. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
I like the Mick Foley segment because I think it's some of the most powerful stuff, like the match he's talking about where he gets handcuffed with The Rock.
Yeah, it's in the head of the chair.
His wife and kids were there. I mean, to me it was kind of effed up for Mick to allow them to be there knowing that it's going to be that brutal match, because a kid at that age isn't going to understand that it's all make-believe.
Especially, these kids are like 5, 6 years old, maybe. Like, oh!
I mean, it's the most powerful moment of the movie. Aside from Jake the Snake, I mean,
Yeah.
that's definitely.
Isn't the Jake the Snake segment kind of related to the movie The Wrestler?
Yeah, I mean, Mickey Rourke's character in The Wrestler was loosely based on.
Randy the Ram, Jake the Snake.
Yeah, but I mean, like, was Rourke a drug addict in that movie? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Was he?
Takes steroids.
Oh, steroids, but Jake the Snake in this documentary is just saying he's actually smoking crack. There's a difference between steroids and crack.
Big difference.
I mean, steroids are bad, but not nowhere near as bad as
Crack.
crack, you know, or heroin. And, I mean, like, I thought it was all well done. It tells a good story.
Yeah.
Is there a part with New Jack where he's like trying to become an actor? I mean, if you're an ECW fan, you know why that's funny.
He tried to kill somebody.
Yeah, New Jack was a little off his rocker. It does cover ECW a little bit. I thought that was the lighter side as well, because it shows this little indie company that's making it. Although eventually they wouldn't make it. What are you doing?
Crazy my fingers. Wait, it didn't really show WCW, did it?
No, they didn't cover WCW. It's mainly just WWF and a little bit of ECW.
ECW, that's what I was gonna say, but let's continue on.
Did you like the narrator, or was he annoying?
Kind of both.
I thought he was okay. I mean, for a documentary, it didn't seem like he was very passionate about the subject matter, even though clearly he was. But he's just kind of like, when I was 7 years old, I saw Jimmy Snuka jump off the cage. You know, and it's just like, it's like, if you love this stuff so much, like, I think a perfect example of a very enthusiastic documentary filmmaker who's also in the movie and narrates it would be Headbangers, Metal, A Headbanger's Journey.
Wait, I thought you were talking about the Headbangers in wrestling. Never mind.
Lord, no.
Those guys never made it.
No, I'm saying like the guy who made the documentary, and he's the narrator, and he's in the movie a little bit. I'm saying he's not that charismatic in the film, whereas the guy in like Metal, A Headbanger's Journey is. You know, it's a similar documentary where he's doing this on a subject he loves.
I just remember one scene I'd like to talk about. Draws, that one.
Oh.
That one new wrestler. They say he could regurgitate.
I forgot about that scene. That's a funny scene.
Without having eaten too much or having other problems.
Yeah, he goes to go see Vince McMahon for his. He's in WWF, but they're trying to figure out
his gimmick.
Yes.
And they pull out a trash can and tell him, you say you can regurgitate. Of course, you gotta know what regurgitate means.
Everybody knows we're not stupid, man.
And
yes,
he tries to vomit, doesn't make it. Then he pulls out the trash can again and starts vomiting in it.
But what makes that seem funny?
Vince McMahon, he says, I know what your name should be. Puke!
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when he's trying to puke. And Vince McMahon's like, puke! Puke!
Puke! And he goes on for like 5 minutes, he's like, and then he says,
it's like a 5-minute scene of Vince McMahon just there going, puke! But what I like about that is really like JR has this on-screen good guy thing, where Vince has the on-screen bad guy thing. But really, the documentary, Vince seems like he legitimately just likes the sport and wants to do what's best for it. And sorry about that phone call. Anyways, like we're saying, Vince McMahon always had this but he seems like he legitimately like cares about wrestling and the company. I don't know if he cares about the wrestler so much, you know. But JR is a cold-hearted son of a gun.
Yeah, he said, these two new wrestlers, well, one new wrestler, he's wrestling a newbie, right? And he says, I could care less who wins, and stuff like that. You remember?
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is like the way he handles the new talent is really just like phone call again. It's your mom this time. Well, sorry, another phone call. Yeah. Anyway,
it ain't Matt Reviews unless we get interrupted.
Sure. What What I'm saying is like the way he treats, like the way he goes about it, he just kind of like, I don't care if this is your dream or not. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, like like for the industry, it's definitely an eye-opening documentary.
It we just have big of a jerk JR is.
It's an upbeat documentary at times, but it's also a very depressing, dark documentary too.
I was talking to John, I was like, well, let's watch this movie. It'll be alright. And he was like, hey, sure. And when I watched it, I was like, this is depressing, man.
Well, I remember when the documentary was coming out, and I was like, oh, we've got to see this, because at the time I was a big wrestling fan. And I watched it, I was like, I don't like wrestling. I don't want to be a wrestler.
I don't want to become a wrestling promoter.
No, I mean, that's another independent wrestling promoter, how sleazy and scummy they are, basically. Cheating them out of money and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a great documentary. I'm not a wrestling fan yet. I can still watch it and think it's absolutely fantastic. Now, what do you think about, like, a lot of people, I've heard people talk about, like, oh, it seems like it's backed by WWF because they talk a lot about it. But, I mean, like, for me, when they show the WWF, they're not showing it in, like, oh, bright and shiny. You know, they show its faults and its you know, the fact that
they show its highs and its lows.
They show it's definitely a cutthroat industry too, man. I mean, like, they don't show WWE as like, come on and on.
We will hire you anyway.
No, I mean, they show the brutal, honest truth.
Yeah, Mr. Man, he says, he's like, if you ain't gonna be good,
what?
Joke.
Sorry, you go ahead.
He says you're good, but
you may not get hired anyways.
Yeah.
Not everybody's gonna make it.
Barely
Like the guy
does.
Puke. He was Puke for a week.
Draws.
And they became Draws, who eventually, if I remember correctly, would become paralyzed. He would eventually die.
I was about to say that. Oh, he died?
I'm pretty sure he died.
Dang.
I mean, like, you know.
I had it rough.
Yeah, wrestling's, you know, it's not all glitzy glamour. But, yeah, I mean, I think we're about time to wrap it up.
Yeah.
What would you give this out of 5?
I'll give it a 5 out of 5. I love this movie.
I'll give it a 4.
4 out of 5?
Which I think it's a good movie, but I've always said about documentaries, documentaries shouldn't lean to one side. Documentaries always should be.
I didn't really think it leaned to one side.
Shouldn't be biased. I felt it leaned a little too, like, if you become a wrestler, look what's going to happen. Like Terry Funk. And
Not every wrestler. Terry Funk. Some ones he had good. Some.
I mean, like, it showed a lot of the negative aspect of wrestling and not a whole lot of the positive. Well, you can't say it did.
Yeah, but
I don't think it's biased as much as it is just, it's trying to show an aspect of wrestling that you don't get to see.
Yeah. But I seen, right after Mick Foley got thrown off the cell, the tooth coming out of his nose.
Yeah, but that's talking about actual wrestling. We're talking about the documentary. Yeah. I'm just saying, like,
that happens in the documentary. It shows what happened backstage.
Yeah. I'm just saying, for me, I didn't think it was biased, but I definitely felt like it wasn't a squash documentary. It wasn't like a Michael Moore documentary where he's like, you're bad and this is why. But it was still, you know.
Sorry for laughing. You're bad.
And I don't even dislike Michael Moore's documentaries. Same thing with this. I think they're good, but I definitely feel like they don't show both sides in fair light. That's all I'm going to say, you know. So you give it a 5, you love it. But you'd give anything wrestling a 5, except for maybe Body Slam or something like that. Well, maybe you may even give that a 5. I don't know.
I don't even know what Body Slam is.
It's this movie. I'll give it a 4. Matt loves it. Matt loves wrestling.
And, well,
that's it. This is an awkward ending.
die.
Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.